Thank you once again for being with us. Before I go any further, I want to draw your attention to the blue used on the tables this evening, as well as the sunflowers. This is in memory of our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, who we know are going through so very much right now. So let's just take a moment now, and let's just take a moment of silence to remember them as they go through their struggles this evening. This is an event I look forward to each and every year because it's an opportunity for us to express our gratitude to each other and for you, for your generous support of the Archdiocese, and your support that the ministries can thrive and needs can be met and that we can grow our church for future generations. Whether you're here tonight as a Mitre Society member who supports the more immediate needs in the Archdiocese, the United Catholic Appeal, or you are a Legacy Society member who has made a planned gift through the Catholic Community Foundation, such as remembering the church in your will or starting an endowment, we are so glad that you are with us this evening. I don't know that any of you can fully grasp the impact that your gifts have on our church and on our communities within the Archdiocese. The amount of good that we are able to do thanks to your generosity is really, if you think about it, incredible. This fiscal year, we have collected nearly $5.5 million in pledges to the United Catholic Appeal, and 100% of those gifts 100% of those gifts goes directly to support ministries, services, and programs in the Archdiocese that benefit everyone in our church and in surrounding communities. So this is truly incredible. We're also seeing a great number of planned gifts and new endowments to the Catholic Community Foundation, and we continue to add new endowments on a regular basis. For fiscal year 2021, which ended on June 30th, 2021, our foundation's net assets have grown to more than $240 million, which is extraordinary. It almost goes without saying that these gifts make a tremendous impact in the lives of so many in our Archdiocese. And I just ask tonight that each of you please continue to pray for our ministries, both seen and unseen, as even the unseen are making a huge difference in our Archdiocese every single day. I also encourage you to continue witnessing the importance of stewardship to your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, for it's truly also a truism that giving really starts at home. That is where we learn to take care of each other before we take care of ourselves. It is where we learn to love one another. When we foster this at home, it is more likely that our children will grow up with a giving spirit, living much more fulfilled and happy lives. We are so glad that you are with us tonight, and so we can celebrate that you are an example to others. Your generosity is creating a culture of giving that will continue to serve this church for many, many generations. I ask now that you join me in viewing a very short video that shows support of both the United Catholic Appeal as well as the Catholic Community Foundation.
I think the appeal is critical because there are some things that we as a church cannot do individually, either as individual persons or individual parishes. But we're called upon to do those things, and we do those things together. And that's why I think we call it a united Catholic appeal.
I'm so grateful for the United Catholic Appeal. I'm so grateful for what it allows our archdiocese to do, all the different ministries to do. There's a lot of beautiful ministries, a lot of beautiful things happening throughout the archdiocese.
And it's something that we're doing as a community of faith. It's something that we're doing for the glory of God. This is an opportunity. This is a blessing to be part of it.
Now's the time to really kind of reignite our love for our church and for our community, and to really invest ourselves in that, with our time, with our talent, with our treasure. That's what's beautiful about the UCA, and that it's our call to continue to build this future of hope for our church and for our world.
You want to see the church flourish. You want to see people come back to Mass, and you want to see them come back to the Eucharist. This is one of the best ways you can do that.
Sentirse bienvenidos y parte de la parroquia es cuando dan de corazón y están ahí presentes tanto físicamente como moralmente y espiritualmente. Nuestra gente le gusta participar, le gusta ayudar a toda la gente necesitada.
We want skin in the game. We want to be able to say, look, yes, it took a sacrifice. Yes, I couldn't afford this, that, or the other thing, but look what we got. Look what we did together. You're giving them an opportunity to be part of something that is much bigger.
And it all begins with understanding that we owe everything to God. That's the rootedness of stewardship, discipleship, that everything we have and everything we are is a gift from God. And so if we truly recognize that, then we're going to be much better about giving of ourselves, of our gifts, our talents, our treasure for the sake of others.
If you're blessed with something during your lifetime, we need to give back to God what He gave us.
The possibilities for what this could become over time really go beyond our imaginations.
It's like building a foundation on bedrock versus on sand, and I think the bedrock's there.
It's something that people can think about. How is it that my contribution to this parish is going to continue past my time? Well, the way to do that is to set up an endowment fund in the Community Foundation, and the more of that happens, the better chance we will have to grow. It manages those funds well, tries to be a good steward over making sure that those funds exist in perpetuity, and then it disperses those funds like a bank back to the purposes for which it was intended. One of the things we know about giving is that very seldom do people leave money to their churches in their will. It just isn't, it's not the way churches get their money. So now we're trying to talk to people in parishes about a whole new way of doing things in terms of their religious giving for the Catholic Church.
My brother that we're talking about is Jerry. So I'm the oldest. He's the second oldest. He lived a full life in a short amount of time. It was 1991 when he died. He was 38, he had colon cancer. Diagnosed, I think, in March of that year, and then died in December of that year. The money that he left us was not ours to begin with, so that being the case, we thought that, we should probably maybe do something in his name.
I thought it was a great idea. This is for the community and for the parish, and this is for the foundation. So it's not for us to gain any glory or anything like that. It's for us to help.
And this was an opportunity to do it in such a way that it keeps on giving. We need to give back. You can't take it with you. We could have spent it and probably enhanced a family room or something like that, bought a new car. But that's just something that'll go away and disappear at some point in time. And to be able to say that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, this is the right thing to do.
We had just built a house and moved in. It was 1961. And so we said, well, I don't know. We just built this house and we had a lot to pay for, and we decided that if it didn't work, you could always stop. Well, this is 2022, and it's still working.
That's one of the consequences of it. Uncle Sam accepts some of that as a deduction from your income for taxes, but that's not the purpose. That's not the purpose that a person gives for, really. You give for Catholic Community Foundation because it's worthwhile. It helps a lot of people.
And they use their money wisely.
Yeah.
They really, it's not extravagant spending or anything. They use it where it's needed. Endowments go on. Whatever you feel that you can afford to give, it's put in the endowment. It earns, they can only take so much out each year, and it earns money and goes on forever. Now, I think people could learn, if they are very interested, you could get online, and there's so many things for you to read and that you can find out. You don't have to call and ask. I mean, you could just find out for yourself and make a donation to an endowment that you like, that you feel like is important. If it's Catholic education, if it's seminarian education, if it's Catholic charities, any of those are very important to our Catholic faith. You just have to try it and trust in the Lord. He takes care of you.
It is incredible the impact that we have when we work together. And thank you again for making all of these things possible through your generous gifts. You know, I think Mary Wolford said it best, we just trust in God, don't we, over and over again, and He blesses us continually. And God has blessed us really wonderfully in our wonderful Archbishop, Archbishop Thompson, and so I'd like to invite him to come forward now.
Monsignor Stump is always so very, very, very gracious. People thought earlier when he did the prayer that he was going to get back at me for the Mass tonight, for the comment at Mass, and I said, he knows I get the last word. Monsignor talked about, he mentioned the 240 million in our endowments, and that's great. But just imagine what it's going to be after Monsignor Shadle makes a donation from his 40th anniversary. I'm expecting that to double. If I hadn't said something about Monsignor Shadle, he would think I was mad at him. So I'm thinking about him and I love him. So, Jolinda's, as you mentioned, as you recognize, as you know tonight, Jolinda's not with us. She's having some serious back issues. I was in doctor's office, I think, today, trying to figure out how to be here. So Monsignor Stump has really stepped up to kind of be, kind of taking some roles. She would have been here tonight. So I know she deeply regrets she cannot be here, but we want to remember her in prayer as well. It's been 3 years since we've been able to gather here in person for this event, and it's wonderful to see everyone, so many familiar faces. I apologize I didn't get everywhere. I keep thinking every night when I do these things I'll get around, and I get yapping too much, and I didn't even get halfway there. So I'd like to blame it on the people I talked to, but it's more me than them. I apologize. Jolinda and the staff of the Office of Stewardship and Development, as I mentioned tonight in the Mass, have done a great job planning this event. And we want to always be grateful for that. Thank you, as Monsignor Stumpf mentioned already, for being such faithful stewards, for your financial gifts, which support the ministries of our Archdiocese. I'm grateful for all the ways each of you so selflessly support the Archdiocese, including your gifts of time and talent. We're fortunate and blessed to have so many people who generously give their time and expertise when needed. It takes a lot of resources to operate Catholic charities, provide a Catholic education to our children, to educate our seminarians. We couldn't do it without the annual gifts that you make through the United Catholic Appeal and the long-term gifts you make to the Catholic Community Foundation through Planned Giving. Your financial gifts are providing for our church now and in the future. The witness you provide through your stewardship helps to create a culture of giving in your parishes and throughout the Archdiocese. On behalf of the entire Church of Central and Southern Indiana, thank you. The video we watched just a few minutes ago highlighted how a culture of giving gets established and how mission drives the resources and not the other way around. When we stay faithful to God and God's calling for us to care for our brothers and sisters in Christ, the resources follow. Mary Kay Wolford of Holy Family Parish, that you saw tonight in the video, in New Albany, offered us a beautiful insight. You just have to try and trust in the Lord, and He takes care of you. We are grateful to Mary Kay and her husband Carl, Deacon Juan Carlos and Gabriela Ramirez, Jean Temple, Mike, Betty Kichan, who allowed us to interview them for the stewardship video that was shown this evening. And also those young adults who also gave of themselves, not only in the video, but in the many ways they serve. Their stories really illustrate how each of us is loved by God. I am the beauty of the beholder, and recognize that we are loved by God. We are compelled to share that love with others. It is Urbi et Orbi, that is the city and world, message Pope Francis shared on Easter Sunday reminds us. Today more than ever, we hear echoing the Easter proclamation. Christ is risen. He is truly risen. Today more than ever, we need Him at the end of a Lent that has seemed endless. We emerged from 2 years of pandemic, which took a heavy toll. It was time to come out of the tunnel together, hand in hand, pulling our strengths and resources. We need the crucified and risen Lord so that we can believe in the victory of love and hope for reconciliation. Today more than ever, we need Him to stand in our midst and repeat to us, "Peace be with you." Those are the words of Pope Francis. When we pull our strengths and resources, we are able to build our ministries and help our brothers and sisters in need throughout Central and Southern Indiana. We bring many of them peace, being the hands and feet of Christ to them. Our faith calls us not only to say thanks to God, but to do thanks as well. This expression of gratitude to God in action is called stewardship, which each of you live so beautifully for the Archdiocese. I'm going to go off script here for a second. It means you got to stay for an extra 2 minutes that they weren't expecting. I'm going to go off script. I'm drawn tonight as we pray for Ukraine, and I think of all the other countries in Africa and Venezuela. There's so many people who are living in such injustice and such tragedy and things we take for granted for daily. But I remember I was Bishop of Evansville before I came here, of course, and I remember at the time when the Archdiocese of Indianapolis was receiving a refugee family here. If you remember that time under Cardinal Tobin, and the governor at that time had said, kind of forbid those coming into this state, and already the Archdiocese of Indianapolis had already committed to receiving a refugee family. And what I remember about that is that I was here in Evansville. The reason I'm thinking about this, and I just finished yesterday with the Indiana Bishops and the Indiana Catholic Conference. Every spring, every May and December, the Indiana bishops have an afternoon and an evening together, and then we spend the night. Next day, we meet with the Indiana Catholic Conference. So this past Tuesday, I had all the Indiana bishops here, and then yesterday morning, or yesterday at 2 o'clock, we went over about an hour and a half. The Indiana bishops with the Indiana Catholic Conference. So just left yesterday. But I remember back when Archbishop, then Archbishop, now Cardinal Tobin, was here, and I was still in Evansville as a bishop. We were here meeting when that refugee family arrived. If you remember that kind of standoff that went on. And I remember spending the night after, so at the meeting that afternoon, that Tuesday afternoon, Cardinal Tobin told us, he said, by the way, the refugee family is arriving as we're sitting here. And he had a priest going out to meet them at the airport to take them to wherever they were going to be. And so he said, I just want you all to be aware of this. And the next morning, I remember waking up in the hotel, and I turned on the news, and the news had already found out they were here. And they were already interviewing the governor. And they said, Governor, you said that they couldn't come. What happens? He said, well, they're here. We serve them. Well, what do you think of the Archdiocese? Bring them here. Catholic Charities, bring them here. And he said, Catholic Charities is one of the greatest organizations we got here. For all the work they do and all they do for our state, I have nothing but praise for them. And I just share that. Indiana is only 9% Catholic. I don't know if you know that about it. It's only 9% Catholic. And yet my relationship with the governor of Indiana, my relationship with the mayor of Indianapolis couldn't be better. One, they're two great servants of God. But also because it just shows what the church does here. Even at 9%, the difference we make and how respected that is. So I'm going off script, but I just think it's important to hear the difference we're making. Our church is certainly a great witness to the work of the Spirit, to the mission of Christ, as we continue to carry out the good news, our Catholic identity, our Catholic mission here throughout the Archdiocese. We give thanks to God for all the gifts. We continue to be grateful stewards whose words and actions show that we are merciful, generous, and willing to give back to the Lord with increase. May we continue to be grateful givers who do always give thanks as well as say. It says here I'm supposed to give you a final blessing before I let you go. So I wish you all a safe journey home tonight. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. Again, thanks to everyone who's made this such a wonderful evening. All those who served us and prepared the food, our musicians, our bartenders. By the way, the bartender said you all were great, that you all are great comedians, that you all were very funny with that. So I heard good things. But I want to say this too. I forgot to say this in the Mass. So before I forget again, you all pray well. You really pray well. I'd like to take you on the road with me. You pray well. So I thank you for that great witness. Let us ask for the Lord's blessing. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
May Almighty God bless you. Fill your hearts, your souls, your minds, your bodies with His goodness, His mercy, His peace, and His love. May God lift up tonight all those that you carry in your hearts and minds, in your families, among your friends, among your acquaintances, your parishioners, your fellow parishioners, all those for whom you have concern about, that God may truly bless them, bring them healing and peace. May God watch over you and protect you and guide you on your way home. But more importantly, lead you on the path into eternal salvation. We ask this blessing in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Pray for me and all the people who have to put up with me, especially these two Monsignors that I pick on all the time. God bless you.